everybody, and welcome to the new episode of the SVR Podcast. How's everybody doing, man? I hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and be sure to be okay with yourselves, man, within the mental health standpoint. Anyways, guys, in today's podcast episode, we have someone who is in America, the west part of America, around in Seattle. He's around in his 20s, and he's also an underground musician artist. For how long you been doing?
Roughly around like 2015.
Anyways, guys, I might have to introduce you guys for today's podcast. His name is the real Blackheart. Welcome, Blackheart, to the podcast. How are you doing, man?
I'm not doing too bad. Doing pretty good.
Nice. It's great that you're doing fine, at least as of right now. So, Blackheart, you know what we're doing, right? So, what we have to do with you is asking you 10 questions in regards about how you have started your music, your stage name, of course, up to later on, what artists you look up to and admire the most, and telling the reason why, and so much more to ask within these questions up in this here. So, without any further ado, Blackheart, are you ready?
Oh yeah, 100%. Let's go.
All right, man. Let's start off with the first question. So, we're going to be talking about your humble beginnings, where you have started out in the start year of music, and how you perceive to look up, hey, this music is something that I could cope with. The first question is, what initially inspired you to pursue a career in music?
So music runs in my family. There's a lot of musicians in my family. My dad has been in bands like since I could remember. And I remember as a kid, I tried to pick up the guitar like more than once, and I failed miserably. It took a while to figure out that maybe some other avenues would be more appropriate.
Did that kind of a process went well?
It was like rocky at first, like a lot of hit or miss, because you're trying to figure out, like your own path, basically, right? But you hear different things, you get inspired off of different stuff. Like I developed a love for hip hop and rap music, and it just kind of took over from there.
I see. So, of course, within the process that you've been doing, it has been something. At first, you wasn't really yet used to this thing. You were kind of a new, and of course, you didn't have like a music theory, sort of.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, like you kind of just pick stuff up as you go, like learn stuff at your own pace. And it kind of then like, like it takes a while to form what you're supposed to be, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, it takes a while, but once you have started to improve a lot more with a lot of aspects of music, then you feel like you're formulated your best version of yourself.
Exactly.
Second question. Now, of course, it still talks about the whole beginning of music, obviously, and especially with the third question right here. But the second question I'm asking you is, what's something you have learned about yourself throughout your music, like making the music? What's something you have learned? Is it something like you completely have learned something complex, or something that made it a lot easier for you?
So I've learned how to do like the mix and mastering process. Like I've learned it's really hard to pinpoint, like one thing specifically. If I've learned anything, honestly, it's how to be persistent, because it's not easy to progress in this field, really.
I mean, with the mixing and mastering, it really depends on how you wanted to make it. See, if you were, for example, like if you were collaborating with someone and you were doing like a whole mixing and master, you want to make sure it sounds equal and doesn't have to be like under.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of aspects.
It really is. It simplifies, when, for example, if you're listening to a song on the car, you might think, huh, maybe I'm making something better for the car, not for the headsets.
Sure, yeah, a lot of variables.
Third question. So you have mentioned something about, the guitar, but have you ever had any experience playing other instruments during your start of your music?
Not really. I'm currently working on piano, but that's about it.
Hmm. Hey man, who doesn't love piano? I mean, piano is really a smooth sound instrument when you do like emotional, sometimes softer beats in a way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fourth question. Now, this is a really interesting question to ask you this because there's been some, kind of wonderings about your stage name. Obviously, your name is the real Blackheart. Now, um, is there any metaphorical meaning behind your stage name? Is there something that could tell you as a person or as a musician, like who you truly are? Are you a real kind of a person that experiences darkness or the kind of the depression you've been going through as in childhood days, or what is it like? What is it exactly?
So, honestly, it's not really anything like that deep. I'm a kind of a comic book nerd. So originally, I named myself after one of the characters in Ghost Rider, but I changed it and put the real in front of it just to make my online presence easier to find. Because I noticed when I had it at just Blackheart, like I was super hard to find. Sometimes Spotify and other platforms, they'd get my music mixed in with like other artists with too similar of names and stuff. It was just a mess. So I changed it, and it's just been good, and I feel like it fits me.
I mean, it could also mean a lot of things too about the name Blackheart. Also, you can also have like the heart as blacked out. It could be something meaning like in such a little deeper meaning. But I don't know. It's how I visualized it because like you never know if this is actually what is resonating with the people that have been going through with the depression and anxiety and all that. But I'm glad that you pointed out about your name being a comic book related because obviously there are some diehard fans out there who I'm sure they have a lot of their collection of comic books.
Definitely. I think see, like that's the beautiful thing about like names or music or anything of that nature, though, is like you could take something like a name and it could mean different things to different people without putting like the origin story actually behind it. Yeah, like you said, it could mean many, many things, and I think it's awesome that like it gives people stuff to relate to.
Fifth question. Now, this is specifically about how you keep the momentum with your music and specifically real world and just making sure everything is unbalanced and not too out of ordinary. You feel me? So, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance as a musician?
It's super hard. Honestly, I don't feel like I keep much of a balance at all. I'm either full bore, 100% focusing on the music thing, or I'm taking breaks. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more so like probably 100% in either direction. I feel like what motivates me is I try to help and uplift and build like artists that are smaller than myself that haven't quite learned like how to build their platforms. I've shout out Endless Music. He's one of my good buddies. I've been trying to help build his platform alongside my own. Shout out Wicked Nightmare. I've been helping him for like years at this point. But anyways, that motivates my vision a lot. I want to see us all grow as a team. You know what I'm saying?
You got to make sure they're ready to prepare for their stuff to get out there and get some exposure.
Exactly.
With live, yes, it gets a lot tougher because there's a lot of work to do in there. There's a lot of stress and pressure on. Moving forward to the sixth question. Now, this is where we're talking about the current state of today's industry music. Obviously, what we've seen over the years, there's been a lot of times when artists got manipulated by the labels. There's been times when their lifestyles has been changed and their fame got to their head, and it's kind of like where something bad goes on. It's a part of a disadvantage part of the music. It's when something gets screwed up, it's screwed up for wrong reasons. And you also see like a lot of same artists getting blown up by fast nowadays. And it's just like, you got to keep working and work. You can't really just get one snap of a finger, boom, blow up. You get into industry music. What are your thoughts on the current state of mainstream music? Do you think this is the right thing for most artists to grow up with their platform or they're getting a label? Do you think their lifestyle deserves to be changed? Or do you think, is there some coincidence that maybe could have been better? So can you tell me your opinion about that?
Yeah, so I think when stuff happens too fast, I think it's hard for people to adapt mentally. You know what I'm saying? I think it takes a while to mentally catch up with what's going on in your life, especially when things happen like so quickly, like you see it happen sometimes in the mainstream. And I think that's why you see a lot of people fall off also so quick. Their whole lives get screwed up sometimes or whatever. It's a lot to handle. But I think luckily for like independent music is kind of taking over, like artists are starting to figure out that as an independent artist, we have all the same resources as what label artists have. If we know where to look and know how to invest, you know what I'm saying? It takes some work, but I feel like the work it's good for us. It's good for music. It's good for the space for sure.
Now, I imagine, like, if you were getting to the industry music, would you be doing the same exact thing as other people would do in terms of what I just mentioned with the changes, their lifestyle changes? Or are you going to, keep your self-composure, remain who you are and never change yourself?
Yeah, I'm probably going to stay the same. I don't necessarily feel like bringing that kind of attention to myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want to create things that I can't handle. I don't want to get in too deep, you know what I'm saying? I don't want anyone to have any sort of control over my art, or I don't want people to be able to tell me what I can and can't say for appearances. I want to just keep it original.
And you know what? That's completely valid point, Dave. they said here, because I feel like even with myself and other musicians in this community, underground community, I feel like this is the right thing to be and remain who you are, the best version of yourself. Never change your whole lifestyle. Just stay true to yourself.
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay. Seventh question. So, of course, I have asked this many times throughout every few podcasts here and there, where I asked a lot of people which artists they've been looking up to and admire the most. And some people I have interviewed, they've been looking up to guys like the old school musicians. Like, for example, some people have said Eminem. Some people said like rock bands like Linkin Park. Um Mike Shinoda, and a bunch of like artists here and there. So, uh, what about yours truly? Like, which musicians do you most admire, look up to? And tell me the reason why these artists you mentioned are the ones that you look up to the most.
So for me personally, really into Nirvana. I find Nirvana super inspirational. And I mean, obviously, like you could only get like inspired off of like their old stuff because they're not gonna make any new stuff, unfortunately. But if you listen to them lyrically, you know what I'm saying? It's like it takes a couple listens because the stuff is so like contrast. So like you can't just take it at like face value, at like word for word. You have to actually like really think about what it actually means, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about it.
I mean, we can understand what Kurt Cobain has been going through his life. He was like pain, but he was still managing to put out bangers.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's a perfect example though of you know, like the one of the last questions. You know, I feel like that band probably blew up really, really fast. You know, it all kind of happened all at once.
Way too fast. Eighth question. Now, is there are there any limits or downsides relying on money to achieve happiness? Like, are you like basically, proud that you got all the money, you can spend it on groceries or sound engineering and all kind of stuff? Or is it something that you don't supposed to be happy about?
I think you should be proud about it. It's a major achievement, you know, especially depending on where you originally came from, you know, your upbringings, your childhood life, you know, stuff of that nature. I think you should definitely embrace it and be proud about it. I think that you just have to be smart about your investments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you should go out and necessarily buy a bunch of things that, you know, maybe you could afford, maybe you can't afford. Like, don't let it get to you in like a crazy sense. Be happy about it, but spend it wisely, you know?
At the same time, if you get too rich, don't be happy about it too often because, once you get too happy about it, you go overboard with it.
I feel like if you get too rich, you should be donating, you know what I'm saying? You should be like, if you have like more than what you need, I feel like the right move is like donating, you know? I feel like that's part of the problem like with the world is like there's a select few, you know, that are doing like exceptionally well, you know what I'm saying? And even just a portion of what they have could literally like benefit the world so much. It fixed probably like 60% of the issues or more. I don't know for sure, but you know, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you. I get where you're coming from. Like, if you get rich, you should probably do like the right thing by donating something, for those who, for example, like mental health awareness, for example. You see a lot of people who have been diagnosed with a lot of kind of things, and they can't really cope with a lot of things. They really need groceries, and I feel like that's the right move to do because you can't really be proud of what you have without helping others. You feel me?
100% agree. Yeah, facts.
Ninth question. Speaking of mental health, there's been a lot of times when people who have been dealing with issues like mental health, for example, are struggling to get a ton of support for their need. If, for example, like they need to be communicative and have something in common, have something to talk, have someone to talk to, or need some a lot of more support for their. How do you support others who are struggling with mental health issues, either in your personal life or within the music community?
So, as far as music's concerned, if you make music about relatable things instead of music about, like material stuff, like how back on the mainstream thing, you know how like they all write about all the same stuff, it's all very, very material, and there's not a lot of substance to it. I feel like if you write stuff and you make music about like things that you're going through, it makes it relatable. It makes people feel like they could trust you. It gives them a safe space in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It might get them through whatever it is that they're going through. And I feel like also it's important to, especially like if you're in the public eye, like even just a little bit, like there will be people to reach out to you, especially if they view you in a certain way because of the type of content that you put out. It's important to actually respond to your fans, you know what I'm saying? Versus a lot of people that don't respond to them.
The only reason that some people don't respond to those who have been going through is because they don't really care enough for their struggle. They don't care about what they've been going through. Maybe it's like, what is it called? Ignorance. They don't care about those who have been going through. Like, I feel like you should be, carrying those who you trust the most.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
The last question to wrap it up before we get into the outro, obviously. It's about like, giving some aspiration advice on those who are new to the music thing and they want to become something what they could cope for, like, doing for a passion, doing for the love of art. Doesn't have to be about, doing this for like a business deal thing, like all the time. So what advice would you give those who are struggling by today's standards, pursuing the passion, learning on how to task from scratch in music?
So basically, I would say anything that inspires doubt, like just get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? Be consistent and just keep trying. Anything that's hard is gonna be worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like easy things normally aren't worth it. Anything that's good is normally a challenge. Yeah, be persistent and focus on figuring out like what your resources are. That way you could like make smart decisions and invest in the right places, because it's gonna take investment. People don't just get noticed anymore. It's not just based off of talent anymore, unfortunately. Like, yeah, investments have to be made, and it helps knowing where to direct that attention to. There's a lot of scams out there on the internet.
At this point, do something right. It's still being screwed up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy out there.
Yeah, that was it, folks. Blackheart, if you have anything to say towards to the outro, would you be willing to do so?
Yeah, all right, guys. Stay safe, be happy, stay motivated. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome. I have to say something as well for the outro, which is my thing to do. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. If you guys liking this podcast episode and want to continue to support and want to see more of the interview with, doesn't matter who it is, musicians, pro wrestlers, outsiders. It could be anyone in particular in mind. Just let me know in the comments down below who it will be, and I will catch it up with it. Where they will be talking about their backgrounds, who they are as a person, in order to get to know them from their standpoint, and to actually want to check them out at any time. No deadlines whatsoever. And I will see you guys into the next episode. Later and goodbye.